Hello everyone. Today we are going to discuss about the clavicle. Okay. Now the clavicle is a modified long bone. It supports the shoulder so that the arm can swing clearly away from the trunk. Okay. Now it plays an important role in weight transmission of your upper limb. Okay. And I mean the weight transmission from the appendicular skeleton to the axial skeleton. So it plays an important part. Now the clavicle, the bone has a curved part called a shaft and the two ends lateral and medial. So this is basically a right clavicle. Okay, I will tell you how I am determining the side. Okay, because it's convex. If I hold it in anatomical position, now it's convex forwards in the medial two-third. First of all, you need to remember that the shaft is generally divided in two portions: the medial two-third, which is towards the body, and the lateral one-third, which is away from the body. Okay. Now in the medial two-third, you can see it is convex forwards, and in the lateral one-third, it is concave forwards. Okay. The medial two-third, it is convex forwards, and in the lateral one-third, it is concave forwards. All right. Now coming to the ends of the clavicle, this end which you see right here, this end articulates with the sternum, so it's known as the sternal end, and this end, I mean the lateral end, articulates with the acromion process of the clavicle, so it's called the acromial end. Wait, let me show you the clavicle, the scapula. See, this is the scapula. So this is the right scapula. You can see it has two important processes. This one right over here, this is called the coracoid process, and this is called the acromion process. Now the acromial end of the clavicle articulates with this acromion process at this end, okay, like this. Alright, I hope you can see it clearly. At this point it articulates. Okay, and you know the function of scapula. It forms an important junction between the upper limb and the axial skeleton. Okay, so this is how it articulates. Now coming back to the clavicle. Now yes, to determine the side, I told you how to determine the side. Okay, because it's medial two-third portion. In the anterior side, it's convex forwards, and in the lateral one-third, it's concave forwards. All right. Now the lateral end is basically flat, and the medial end is quadrilateral. See, you can see it's more or less like a quadrilateral, and the lateral end is generally flat. Now the shaft is slightly curved, so that I told you that it's convex forwards. Okay, in the medial two-third, and concave forwards in the lateral one-third. Now coming to the inferior surface, the inferior surface is grooved longitudinally, okay, in medial one-third, I mean in the middle one-third as well. See, it's grooved. Alright, now peculiarities of the clavicle. Now see, it is the only long bone that lies horizontally in your body. Okay, it is subcutaneous throughout, it's just present under the skin. Now in my mandible video as well, I told you that the clavicle bone is the first bone to start ossifying. Okay, the clavicle bone is the first bone to start ossifying. Now it is the only long bone which ossifies in membrane. Okay, it is the only long bone which ossifies in membrane. So now there is one more, unique feature of the clavicle is that it has two primary ossification centers. Okay, now there are two primary ossification centers of the clavicle, and there may be sometimes a secondary ossification center. I will tell you about it in the later part of this video, that where actually the ossification starts. Now the clavicle has no medullary cavity. It is occasionally pierced by the middle Okay, supraclavicular nerve. Okay, in this. Now it receives weight of the upper limb. I told you. I mean, your upper limb constitutes the humerus, radius, and ulna. So it's quite a heavy portion. I mean, there's two in the two sides of your body. So the clavicle helps in transmitting the weight from your upper limbs to the axial skeleton. Okay. Now coming to the features of the clavicle. Now before going to the features, I would like to, tell you something very important, that due to, the weight transmission thing. Now, and a very important ligament plays a role in this, which is called the coracoclavicular ligament. Okay. Now I need to bring the scapula once again. See, the clavicle articulates with the scapula in this fashion. See, like in this way. Okay, this is the coracoid process. This is the acromial process of the scapula. Now it articulates in this way. Alright. Okay. Now see, the inferior surface of the scapula and the lateral 1/3. You can see that I will tell you the attachment, but there is a ligament which is in relation to the inferior surface of the clavicle and the coracoid process of the scapula. Okay, which is called the coracoclavicular ligament. Now it helps the clavicle in hanging out this scapula. Okay, and this ligament is very important in the way that it helps in the weight bearing function of the upper limb. Alright, so that was about it. Now let's talk about the shaft. Alright, now the shaft is divisible into the lateral 1/3 and the medial 2/3. I told you many times. See, the lateral 1/3 of the shaft is flattened from the above downwards. See, from above downwards is basically flattened. See, this is the superior aspect, this is the inferior aspect. See, this is flattened from above downward. Now it has two borders. See, this is the anterior border and this is the posterior border. The anterior border is concave forwards, the posterior border is convex backwards. Now this part of the bone has two surfaces. Okay, the lateral 1/3, the superior surface and the inferior surface. The superior surface is subcutaneous, it's just present in the skin, and the inferior surface presents an elevation. See, there is a elevation. I hope this is clear. Let me focus the camera. See, there is a elevation. Now this elevation is called the conoid tubercle. Okay, this is called the conoid tubercle, and there is also a ridge. If you can see it clearly, see, there is a ridge. Now this ridge is called the trapezoid ridge. Okay, this ridge is called the trapezoid ridge, and this elevation over here is called the conoid tubercle. Alright, so let's come to the medial 2/3. Okay, now the medial 2/3 of the shaft is rounded and is said to have four surfaces. See, this is the superior surface, this is the anterior surface, this is the posterior surface, and this will be the inferior surface. Alright, now the anterior surface is convex forwards, the posterior surface is smooth, it's more or less smooth. Okay, the superior surface is rough in its medial part, it's a bit rough. Okay, the inferior surface has a rough oval impression. See, there is a rough oval impression, if you can appreciate. Now has a rough oval impression at the medial end. Okay, and the lateral half of this anterior 2/3, okay, the lateral half of this surface has a longitudinal subclavian groove. See, this is one of the important grooves in clavicle. Okay, this long groove over here in the lateral section of the inferior surface of the clavicle. Okay, see, this groove over here, this is called as the subclavian groove. Alright, now if you see it clearly, there is a nutrient foramen. I hope it's clear. Yeah, see, See, there is a nutrient foramen which just passes, it supplies nutrients to the clavicle. Alright. Now it's actually a branch of the supraclavicular artery. Alright. I will tell you about it later. Now the lateral and medial ends. So this is the lateral end and this is the medial end. Oh, my camera focuses again. Now it's clear. Now the lateral or acromial end is flattened from above downwards. It bears a facet that articulates with the acromion process of the scapula to form the acromioclavicular joint. I told you several times. See, this is the acromioclavicular joint. Wait. Now the medial or sternal end is quadrangular and articulates with the clavicular notch. Alright, now let me show you the sternum so that you can appreciate this. Clavicular notch. It's a bit broken. The manubrium sternum is, it's broken from the rest of the part. See, if you see it clearly on either side of this manubrium sternum, see, there is a notch. See, you see this depression. This is called the clavicular notch because the clavicular, this medial end of the clavicle articulates with this notch in this fashion. Alright. There will be one more clavicle on this side and they will be joined, in the sternal space, they will be joined by the interclavicular ligament. Okay, I'll come to it later. Now this is how it joins. So this is called a clavicular notch. Alright. So now let's come to the, now I told you about the manubrium sterni. Now the articular surface extends to the inferior aspect for articulation with the first costal cartilage. Okay. Now there will be a muscle attachment which will be attached with the first costal cartilage. Now the word costal means it's related to the ribs. Okay. Now wherever you find the word costal, always remember that it's related to the ribs of the human body. Alright. Now let's come to the attachments of the clavicle. Now this section of the video will be very much important and you need to pay attention. See, okay, because in Viva and all you will be asked about this attachments only, so it is very much important. Now coming to the lateral end, the margin of the articular surface for its articulation with the acromion process of the scapula, it forms the acromioclavicular joint. Okay. Now there is a joint capsule attachment at this particular relation. Okay, so there is a joint capsule attachment. Now at the medial end, the margin of the articular surface, see over here for the sternum, I told you that it articulates in this fashion. See, okay, this is the manubrium part of the sternum. Now at the medial end, the margin of the articular surface for the sternum gives attachment to a fibrous capsule. Alright, so it gives attachment to a fibrous capsule and that helps in forming the sternoclavicular joint. Okay, it helps in forming the sternoclavicular joint all around. There is a fibrous capsule. This fibrous capsule can be seen in many parts of your body. Okay, like in the shoulder joint, then in the hip joint. So you'll come across them when you study anatomy. Okay, properly. So this was about the fibrous capsule. Now there is an articular disc posterior superiorly. Okay, so it's present somewhere here. So there is an articular disc posterior superiorly, and there is the interclavicular ligament. I told you that it will connect the two clavicles on either side of your body. Okay, so there is the interclavicular ligament. There will be a sternal space and this clavicular ligament will connect the two clavicle. Now let's come to the next attachments. Now let's come to the lateral 1/3 portion once more. Okay, now this anterior border of the lateral 1/3 of the shaft gives origin to the deltoid muscle. Okay, now this, if I hold it like this way, see, this anterior border of the lateral 1/3 of the clavicle. It gives origin to the deltoid muscle. I will show you in the atlas, okay, how the attachments are actually in our body, okay, so that it will be very much helpful for your visualizations. So this anterior border will give attachment to the deltoid. We'll come across it later, okay, in this video only. So now this anterior border will give attachment to the deltoid, okay. Now the posterior border provides insertion to the trapezius muscle. All right, the anterior border will give origin to the deltoid, and the posterior border will give insertion to the trapezius muscle. Now I told you about the conoid tubercle and this trapezoid ridge. Now the conoid tubercle and the trapezoid ridge give attachment to the conoid and trapezoid part of coracoclavicular ligament. Now you know the coracoclavicular ligament is a very important ligament because it helps the scapula in hanging in this way, okay, and it's attached to the inferior aspect of the clavicle, and it helps in the weight transmission from the upper limb to the axial skeleton, okay. So remember this coracoclavicular ligament. Now let's come to the medial 2/3 of the shaft. Now most of the anterior surface gives origin to the pectoralis major muscle. You know, it is an important group of muscle, so it is called the pectoralis major muscle in the anterior surface. Alright, I told you that the medial 2/3 has 4 surfaces: superior, inferior, anterior, posterior. So the pectoralis major muscle will be attached to the anterior surface. Now half of the rough superior surface gives origin to the clavicular head of the sternocleidomastoid. Okay, now here half of it, okay, half of the rough superior surface, it will give origin to the clavicular head of the sternocleidomastoid. Now sternocleidomastoid is a very important muscle of our body, okay. It's basically present in the neck region. So the sternocleidomastoid, you know, you can say by the name. Sterno means sternum. One of its head, I mean the origin of one of its head is from the sternum. The other head from the cleido, I mean from the clavicle. Cleido stands for clavicle, okay. And these two heads get inserted to the mastoid process of the temporal bone. Let me show you the mastoid process. See, this is the mastoid process of the temporal bone. Alright, so the sternocleidomastoid muscle gets inserted in this way. Alright, now let's get back to the clavicle. See, now let's come to the oval impression on the inferior surface. Okay, now you can see at the medial end, okay, it gives attachment to the costoclavicular ligament. So what is the costoclavicular ligament? I think I told you about this, that costoclavicular means it's getting connected to the first rib of our, I mean costal means ribs, okay. So this ligament connects the clavicle with the first rib. Alright, so that was the costoclavicular ligament. Now you can see this, I mean the in the inferior surface, the anterior 2/3 of the clavicle, in this lateral position. So there was a very important groove. What is the name of it? The subclavian groove, okay. Now it gives insertion to the subclavius muscle. Now the subclavius muscle acts like a cushion, okay, for the axilla. When I will teach you about the axilla, you will know about it. So the subclavius muscle, not subclavian, subclavius muscle is very important, and it's attached, I mean it's inserted in this subclavian groove. Now if you see it clearly, see, I'm focusing the camera a bit, okay. If you see it clearly, the margins of this groove, okay, there are two margins, and these margins will give, I mean it will give attachment to the clavipectoral fascia, okay. Now the clavipectoral fascia is a fascia which is related to the clavicle and the pectoral, I mean it's related to the pectoralis major muscle, okay. So the clavipectoral fascia, I mean it's attached in the margins of the subclavian groove, and in between them it will be the subclavius muscle, okay. Now the posterior surface close to the medial end gives origin to the sternohyoid muscle. Now the sternohyoid So posterior surface, okay, here it will give origin to the sternohyoid muscle. Now the sternohyoid muscle, this is actually wrong. It's actually, this is the second hand bone set. So the user who was using it in the earlier, so he wrote it, I didn't write this. Okay, so this is actually wrong. So ignored it. So here will be in the medial end the sternohyoid muscle. Okay, so it's a kind of infrahyoid muscle. Okay, so the hyoid muscles are generally divided in two categories: the suprahyoid muscle and the infrahyoid muscle. So the sternohyoid muscle is a group of infrahyoid muscle. Now the subclavian vessels and divisions of trunks of the brachial plexus pass towards the axilla. Okay, now axilla will be here. So it will pass towards the axilla, lying between the inferior surface of the clavicle and the upper surface of the first rib. So suppose, imagine that here is the first rib and this is the inferior surface of the clavicle. Okay, now there will be the passage of the subclavian vessels and a division of trunks of the brachial plexus from this way towards the axilla. Now the axilla means the armpit. Okay, now I told you about the nutrient foramen in inferior aspect in this, here. Okay, so I told you that a branch of suprascapular artery, okay, the suprascapular artery will pass through it, a branch, and it will pass through the nutrient foramen. I guess I told you the supraclavicular. Okay, it will not be supraclavicular, it will be suprascapular artery, a branch of the suprascapular artery. Okay, now coming to the acromioclavicular joint. Okay, the acromioclavicular joint, okay, it's actually a plain variety of synovial joint. Okay, it permits the gliding movements. Alright, just it's a point to be noted, it will permit the gliding movements. And the sternoclavicular joint, okay, with the sternum, the manubrium part of the sternum in the clavicular notch, it is a type of compound, complex and saddle variety of synovial joint. Okay, remember it, compound, complex and saddle variety of synovial joint, and this one is a plain variety of synovial joint. Okay, now coming to the anterior surface of the shaft, see here in the medial 2/3 it was giving attachment to the pectoralis major muscle. Okay, and here in the lateral 1/3 in the anterior border it was giving attachment, origin to the deltoid muscle. So these two muscles in relation to each other, they form a deltopectoral triangle. Okay, now this deltopectoral triangle will, they will form a triangle, and it will permit the passage of the cephalic vein. Okay, now it will permit the passage of the cephalic vein, it will pass through the deltopectoral triangle. So this was one important point to be appreciated. Okay, now let's talk a bit more about this weight transmission thing. This humerus, let me bring a humerus. See, so the humerus articulates in this fashion. Okay, and this weight of the humerus will pass to the scapula, the superior extremity, the superior extremity of the scapula, and then this weight will be passed on through the coracoclavicular ligament. I think you remember the coracoclavicular ligament. Okay, and then it passes to the inferior aspect, then to the sternal end of the scapula. Okay, I hope you can see it. This is how the humerus articulates. And then through the coracoclavicular ligament, it will pass through the axial skeleton. So this was about it. Now let's come to the ossification a bit more. Oh, sorry, this is the clavicle. Now the clavicle is the first bone to ossify, I told you. Now except for its medial end, okay, it ossifies in membrane. The whole of it ossifies in membrane. Now I told you it ossifies from two primary centers. Okay, it will ossify from two primary centers, and it's located just here. Okay, the two primary centers. Now the two primary centers actually appear in the shaft between the fifth and sixth week of intrauterine life. Okay, in the fifth and sixth week of intrauterine life, and it fuses about the 45th day. Now there may be a secondary center for the medial end. It appears during the age of 15 to 17 years, and it gradually fuses with the shaft during the 21 to 22 years. Now occasionally there may be a secondary center for the acromial end. Okay. Now let's talk about some clinical anatomy. Now, the clavicle is commonly fractured by falling. Okay, now outstretched hand, when you stretch your hands, okay, and in case of indirect violence, which is not in your hand. Okay, now it is a common site of fracture is this between the in the junction between the two curvatures. Okay, so this was one curvature and this is the other curvature. So in the junction, it is the most common region, okay, to get fractured. So you must be aware of it, and it's also the weakest point. Now what happens during fracture? The lateral fragment gets displaced towards downwards by the weight of the trapezius muscle. Where was the trapezius muscle? In the posterior border. Okay, now it gets displaced downwards, and it's unable to bear the weight of the upper limb. Now the clavicles may be congenitally absent. Okay, now it's an exceptionally unique case. Okay, now they may be congenitally absent and or maybe imperfectly developed in a disease called cleidocranial dystosis. Okay, cleidocranial dystosis. In this condition, the shoulders droop and can be approximately anteriorly in the front of the chest. It may get drooped. So that is the reason of the drooping of the shoulder in that case. Now we'll go through the muscles, the muscular attachments, the important muscles which is attached to the clavicle in the atlas. Okay, so let's meet there. Now in this part, I just want to show you the attachments of the clavicle. Okay, see this is the clavicle, the right clavicle, and over here, this is the sternal end of the clavicle. It's attached to the manubrium of sternum. Then this is the acromion process of the scapula, which is lying posteriorly. And see, this is the deltoid muscle. Okay, this is the deltoid muscle which was attached to the anterior border of the lateral 1/3. See over here. And this is the trapezius muscle which is attached to the posterior 1/3 of the lateral 1/3. Okay, and this is the pectoralis major muscle. See, it's covering the major portion of the anterior surface of the medial 2/3. See, this is the pectoralis major muscle. All right, and this is this large muscle here. This is called the sternocleidomastoid muscle. Okay, see, it has two heads. One head is connected to the sternum, the manubrium of sternum, and the other head, which is the clavicular head, is connected to the posterior superior surface. Okay, so it's connected to it of the clavicle. This is the posterior superior surface, posterior superior. Now that being said, let's see the sternohyoid muscle. See, this is a hyoid bone, and the muscles just below it are called the infrahyoid group of muscles. And you can see this one here is the thyrohyoid. Then there is the sternohyoid. See, this one is the sternohyoid. It's connected with, it's in relation to the sternum and the hyoid bone. This is the sternothyroid. All right. So this is one important section which I wanted to show you. See, this is the sternoclavicular joint. Okay, I told you that this is the manubrium of the sternum, and this is the interclavicular ligament which is connecting the two clavicles on either side. Now this is the clavicle. Okay, this is the anterior sternoclavicular ligament. Okay, and this is the subclavius muscle. See, this is the first rib, and this is the costoclavicular ligament. I hope you remember where was the costoclavicular ligament present. See, this was the clavicle. See, in the inferior aspect. See, what here? Okay, this posterior, this inferior surface. See, this was the site for attachment of the costoclavicular ligament. Okay, and this is the first rib, and these are the costal cartilages. Okay, so it helps in the articulation of the ribs with the manubrium of sternum. So this was pretty much all about the clavicle. So I hope you got a lot of information from this video and it was helpful in case. So that's for today. Until next time.